Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
Jake had always been a walking middle finger to superstition. D spit into the wind, tip his hat to black cats, and whistle a jaunty tune while strutting under ladders. So when his friends dared him to swipe a coin from the old wishing well at the edge of town, Jake's grin flashed like a daredevil's warning sign. He leaned over the creaky stone rim, ignoring the way the moss seemed to clutch at his sleeves. "Watch and learn, boys," he called, plunging his hand into the icy, inky water. His fingers closed around something cold and metallic. With a flourish, he fished out a tarnished coin, flipped it over his knuckles, and tucked it into his pocket. See, no curses, just coins. An old woman, broom in hand, eyed him from the sidewalk, her gaze sharp as a crow's. "Careful," she intoned, her words trailing like mist. "That well's watched by something mischievous." Jake winked. "What's it gonna do, make my hair fall out? Too late for that, I had a date with clippers last week." He sauntered home, dismissing the odd, chilly draft that nipped at his neck. Probably just the wind, or the universe trying and failing to scare him. That night, Jake's dreams were a carnival of color and chaos. Laughter, high, musical, and just a little too knowing, spun around him. A figure danced at the edges of his vision, all swirling colors, flashing silver eyes, and a mouth too quick to catch. "You took my prize," it sang, voice like honey laced with vinegar. "Now you'll know what it's like to be wanted." He woke with a start, heart hammering. "Weird dream," he muttered, but even his voice sounded off, lighter, almost flirty. He cleared his throat. "No change." Jake sat up, rubbing his eyes. His hands looked wrong. Not just wrong, pretty. Gone were the calluses and stubby nails. Instead, slender, tapering fingers stretched before him, the knuckles smooth, the skin polished and nearly glowing. He flexed them experimentally. They moved with a dancer's grace, not a mechanic's clumsiness. "What the hell?" His voice came out in a melodic lilt, the kind that would make a phone sex operator jealous. He tossed off his blanket and whoa. His legs rose from the sheets, impossibly long, smooth as marble, with thighs that curved invitingly into delicate knees and calves shaped by some sculptor with a thing for pin-up girls. His ankles were slim, his feet petite and arched, toes painted with a natural pink sheen as if he'd just come from a pedicure. Jake scrambled up, nearly tripping on pajamas that slid off his new hips like they'd been greased. He caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror and froze, gawping. His face was a supermodel's fever dream, jawline softened to a gentle heart, cheekbones so sharp they could have sliced salami, lips pillowy and blushed, nose pert and upturned. His eyes, huge, luminous, fringed with lashes thick enough to sweep the dust off his vanity, blinked back at him in disbelief. He reached up, and a waterfall of chestnut hair tumbled around his shoulders, thick and wavy, catching the light like it had its own Instagram filter. He tossed his head, and the hair swished with a satisfying whoosh, practically demanding a shampoo commercial. "Okay, this is new." He ran a hand down his neck. The skin was impossibly soft, every nerve ending buzzing with a sensitivity that was both alarming and oddly electric. Then it happened. He felt a tingling, itchy pressure beneath his sleep shirt. He looked down just in time to see his chest expanding, two mounds swelling outward, rounding into full, gravity-defying breasts. The fabric strained, buttons gaping, until one popped off with a tiny, scandalized ping. The sensation was like static electricity and champagne bubbles, all at once. He gasped, the sound coming out as a breathy moan. "No way!" He clamped a hand over his mouth, his lips felt plush, and the gesture only made them poutier. He glared at his reflection, but the effect was more smoldering temptress than furious bro. His waist cinched inward, ribs tightening like a corset was being laced around him by invisible hands. His hips exploded outward. Hips don't lie, and neither did the curve that now threatened to snap the waistband of his pajama pants, which promptly split at the seams like a bad punchline. His backside blossomed into a perfect heart shape, the kind that made Instagram influencers cry in their sleep. He spun, marveling as his new curves rippled and bounced with each movement. "If I trip over my own ass, I swear I'm suing someone," he muttered, then giggled at the musical trill of his voice. His arms shrank, biceps melting into smooth contours, wrists narrowing until he could encircle them with his other, equally dainty hand. He watched, mesmerized, as the last traces of body hair shimmered away, leaving his skin utterly bare and glossy. He ran a hand down his leg, shivering at the hypersensitivity of every inch. His shoulders pulled in, collarbones standing out just so, and when he turned his head, he noticed his neck was longer, more graceful, perfect for flipping hair, or he rolled his eyes at himself, posing for sultry selfies. He stared at the stranger in the mirror. A woman, jaw-droppingly gorgeous, eyes wide with panic and a hint of mischief. "Okay, Jake," he whispered, then snorted. "Or should I call myself Jackie? Jackie with the good hair and the even better." He cut himself off, glancing down at his chest, which now pressed together in a way that made even him blush. A shimmer rippled through the air, and the temperature dropped. The trickster from his dream materialized in the corner, draped in shadows and giggles, eyes twinkling like a cat that just found the cream. "You took what wasn't yours, so now you wear my gift. How does it feel to be noticed?" The spirit's voice curled around Jackie like a silk scarf, cool, teasing, and impossible to ignore. Jackie folded her arms, feeling the new weight of her breasts squishing together. "Honestly, I look like I could charge rent for my own reflection, but I'd like my old body back, please and thank you. I'm not sure my ego can handle this much competition." The trickster cackled, swirling around her like a tornado made of sarcasm and confetti. "You'll have to earn it. Spend a day in this form, see what it's like to turn heads to be seen. Maybe you'll think twice before stealing next time." She opened her mouth to protest, but the spirit vanished, leaving only the echo of laughter and the faint scent of mischief. Jackie groaned, catching a glimpse of her reflection again. She poked her cheek, then her chest, then experimentally wiggled her hips. "If I'm stuck like this, I'm at least getting some mileage out of these curves." She winked. "Thanks for the upgrade, Trickster. I'll try not to break anything expensive." She raided her sister's closet, rifling through an arsenal of weaponized femininity. Skin-tight jeans, clingy tops, and more lace than a bridal boutique. She settled on a pair of jeans that hugged her new hips like a jealous lover and a stretchy top that made her chest look even more dangerous. She twisted in front of the mirror, admiring how the jeans clung to her rear and the way the top accentuated every curve. "Eat your heart out, Kardashians," she smirked, then practiced a few model walks. Her hips swayed with a life of their own, each step an invitation, a dare, a promise. She nearly tripped over her own feet, catching herself on the dresser. "Heels are for masochists," noted. Outside, the world looked different, brighter, sharper. Men turned to stare, jaws dropping, eyes lingering with naked appreciation. Women eyed her up and down, some with envy, some with grudging respect, one with a wink that was downright predatory. Jackie felt the heat of every gaze, the tingle of every glance. She willed herself to walk with confidence, but her body had its own agenda, hips swaying, chest bouncing, hair tossing. At a cafe, the barista nearly dropped her cup when Jackie ordered, his cheeks flushing a deep cherry red. Sorry, miss. I mean, ma'am. He fumbled the cream, splattering it across the counter. She leaned in, her voice honeyed. "It's okay, happens to the best of us." She batted her lashes, and the poor kid nearly fainted. Jackie found herself laughing more. Her new laughter, high and bright, seemed to draw people in like moths to a flame. She dodged a guy wielding a phone and a hopeful smile. "Sorry, I have a strict policy, no numbers before coffee." Another complimented her hair 3 times in as many minutes. "It's real, I swear," she teased, running her fingers through it. "You can look, but no touching. I charge for that." By sunset, she'd learned exactly what the trickster meant by wanted. She'd also learned that flats could be as treacherous as heels, that brushing hair was an Olympic event, and that sports bras deserved a Nobel Prize. As the sun dipped, a familiar tingling crept over her skin. She hurried home, tossing herself onto the bed just as the room shimmered. The trickster reappeared, grinning with the satisfaction of a cat that just tipped over a vase. "Well, lesson learned." Jackie rolled her eyes, the effect devastatingly cute. Yeah, don't steal magic coins unless you want to spend a day as internet clickbait." With a flash, the spirit vanished, and Jackie felt her body contract, hair shortening, curves dissolving, muscles thickening, skin roughening. In moments, Jake was back, rumpled, exhausted, and deeply appreciative of his boring, baggy pajamas. Jake stared at the coin on his nightstand and snorted. Next time, I'm just making a wish. He paused, then grinned, or asking for a phone number the old-fashioned way.